results of your character rig after you click go. So what you want to do is select your rig and click match to rig. Give it a few seconds and it will create the controls for your bones. The only thing we have to do now is connect the mesh, the Stormtrooper character mesh, to the control rig. So you select the mesh, then you select the control rig, and you go to Skin, Bind. Give it a few seconds, and it's a pretty good algorithm. If you go to pose mode by hitting Control Tab, you can actually now move your character mesh. Awesome. So what we want to do now is export it to Unreal. We're going to select the character mesh and the rig, go to File, Export, Auto Rig Pro FBX. It's the proper new way to export your auto rig out of Blender into Unreal as an FBX format. We're going to call it Stormtrooper. Instead of left off here, we'll call it Import to Unreal. Make sure selection only is selected. Unreal Engine, not Unity, but Unreal Engine, humanoid, and then we can just export it. Give it a few seconds, and we'll pop over to Unreal, create a new folder to import our character mesh, Stormtrooper FBX. Double click that folder, click on Import, and look for Stormtrooper for Unreal. Or import to Unreal. That was what we just called the latest one. Stormtrooper import to Unreal. I have a few more just that I created as tests. Click Import. Some characters have morph targets. Ours, in this particular case, does not, so you can leave it alone. Make sure your materials are selected and click Import. You get these little errors about smoothing groups simply because we did not create a smoothing group in Blender, which is fine. And also, you may want to tighten up your weight painting in Blender. It'll probably work just as fine here because there is an influence max in Unreal that Blender does not adhere to, but this will work just fine. You can ignore it. Click Save All. Import your textures. And you now have your Stormtrooper character in Unreal with a basic rig. This here is going to be key, your retarget manager. Because if you go back to your content browser in Unreal and you go to the third person character, which is the SK mannequin, you click on Mesh and you click on its skeletal rig, you will notice, if I pull the tab off here, that the SK mannequin persona window is very similar to the Stormtrooper window. I'm just resizing my windows here. Here we have two windows, two persona windows in Unreal. We've got our SK mannequin character and our Stormtrooper character. Now what I'm going to do is we're going to create a pseudo rig that both characters can read so they can match their character rigs. Simply by, if we clear the mapping here and then I click on clear, I've done this before, but this is how it's going to show up. Click Select Rig, select Humanoid Rig. And all these retargeted joints are done for you with the auto mapping. Even the fingers. Index, 1, 2, 3, the middle, pinky, and the ring. So we want to do the same with our Stormtrooper character. So we're going to go click here, select Humanoid Rig, and because the name differences, we are not going to be able to get the automatic mapping. We're going to have to retarget them ourselves. So pelvis is actually going to be root X. I know this from experience as well as from watching the Auto Rig Pro demo. The spine 1 is going to be spine 1. Spine 2 is going to be spine 2. Spine 3, there is no spine 3, so what do? We reselect spine 2. So we're going to match spine 2 to spine 3. I'm using my middle mouse wheel to scroll down further on down the retargeting list. Clavicle, I'm going to do a quick search for shoulder, and it's the left hand side, so you can click on shoulder L. Upper arm, I'm going to click on arm, and it's actually arm stretch L is the upper arm. The lower arm is going to be, I type in arm, and it's forearm stretch L is going to be the lower arm. Hand L happened to be the same name as hand L here, so the auto mapping picked it up. But obviously clavicle and shoulder are different, so let me do a quick search for shoulder. Now we're on the right side, shoulder R. Scroll down some more, do a search for arm. Arm right hand side. Very important you understand the difference with the right and the left. Because if you mix those up, it will be retargeted in a spirally, twisty kind of way. Let's match the forearm, lower arm R to forearm stretch R, hand R to hand R. Neck, if I do a quick search for neck, it's neck X. I'm guesstimating the head will be head X. There it is. Now the thigh, let's call it, thigh stretch L. There it is. The calf, let's type in leg. Leg stretch L is going to be the calf. So thigh stretch L is the proper target for thigh L. Leg stretch L is a proper target for calf L. The foot is the same, foot L for foot L. Now the right hand side, let's go to thigh stretch R, calf, leg stretch R is going to be the proper target for calf R, and the foot. Now we can go to the advanced, which will be the fingers. So if I type in index, got my left hand side, index 1, 2, and 3. Index 1, 2, and 3. Left hand side, the middle. Do a quick search for middle. Left hand side 1, 2, and 3. Middle 1, 2, and 3. I'm doing a search here. Middle, left hand side. Make sure it matches. Pinky. 1, 2, and 3 for the left hand side. Bear with me during this tedious process. Sometimes you have to do this tedious stuff just so you can retarget and get all those wonderful marketplace animations that are available on the Unreal Engine website. Do a search for a ring, left hand side, 1, 2, and 3. Quick search for the ring. Find the phone. Let's do a quick search for thumb. Thumb 1, 2, and 3. Knowing the names of the joints that you're retargeting to is very important, because if you mismatch the retargeting process, your animations will be all twisted. You can skip the lower arms. The Auto Rig Pro does not export a twist for the Unreal Engine retargeting process. We're going to go over to the index fingers of the right hand side. Index finger 1, 2, and 3 on the right hand side. Middle finger on the right hand side, 1, 2, and 3. And we have our ring and our pinky and our thumb left. Right hand side, 1, 2, and 3. Go to our ring. Ring finger 1, 2, and 3. And we are going to give this a little more space here. We've got our thumb. Right hand side, 1, 2, and 3. And we have our lower twist. Here's the last thing that's important, toes. The ball and the toe match up. So ball left equals toe left, and ball right equals toe right in the retargeting process. Click save. And very important in the persona window, after you do all this retargeting, you have to come over to this right side of the window here and click this apply to button. That will apply the retargeting rig to your stormtrooper. Hit save, and we're almost ready to retarget. The only thing is, if you look at the difference between our stormtrooper character rig and the default third-person Unreal Engine character rig, the poses are slightly different. So you actually want to match the poses by jumping over to your skeleton tree, selecting your shoulders. Do a quick little search for shoulder. Select your right shoulder, and by default the rotation widget pops up, which is good. Just minimize this here. I'm dealing with persona. And we want to match the positions of the shoulders and arms. So we're going to just lower this shoulder a little bit, and then adjust the arm. Well, let's get the other shoulder too to match it. And we're going to lower it just a little bit. Okay, good. And now we're going to go to the arm, and we are going to adjust the arm. Arm stretch. And we're going to bring it up to a 45-degree angle as such. Maybe like that. And the other arm we're going to bring up on 45. Bring the other arm up on a 45-degree angle. And even if you look closely at the SK mannequin, even the forearm kind of pops up slightly on an angle there. See? Forearm kind of comes up. So we want to select the forearm. We want to kind of match the position of that forearm of our stormtrooper, the SK mannequin rig. And even the hand on our SK mannequin rig slightly pops downwards. So we want to adjust those hand positions to match. Hand left and hand right as well. Okay, good. We click save. And now if you notice, the positions, the pose of our SK mannequin and our stormtrooper are the same, which is good. So all we have to do, we can hit save, close our persona windows, go back to our Unreal main window, go to our content window. Well, you always want to save all. Go to our content window, click on our third person character animations folder, select our third person walk, right click, retarget animation assets, duplicate animation assets and retarget, and it will give us this option here. This is the character we brought in. See, there it is. Looks like the arm positions are slightly different, so we're going to click cancel here, go back to our stormtrooper position, and do something that is very important when we open up our persona window. We probably have to redo our pose again. So let's go to shoulder, right, move it up, or rather move it down. Arm, stretch. Now I'm doing this over again because I forgot to hit a button, but that's all right because all it's going to do is make us better at what we do. And hand. And right. And move it down a little. And do the shoulder again. Shoulder left. Bring it down just a smidgen. Let's bring arm up. Arm. Type in arm. Left hand side. Some smidgen. Oh, this way. Oh, that's a shoulder. Let's go to the arm. Arm stretch with L. Let's move it up. Just a smidgen. And the forearm up. Just a little. And let's do the hand. And reposition the hand, the left hand. Very important. Once we have our poses, our matching poses in Persona, we have this pose as well as our other Persona SK mannequin pose, which is a part of the skeletal rig in Persona. Split these tabs here so you can see. We have our Stormtrooper pose and our SK mannequin pose. Something I forgot to show you, which is very important. Once we have our Stormtrooper pose, we go to retarget and we go to modify pose. And then use current pose. That will save. You can hide it. But when you hit view pose, hide pose, view pose, it goes back to that pose. And that modified pose, very important to save. So when you go back to retarget your character's animation by going to content, mannequin, the third person character by default, animations, we have our third person walk. You can right click it, retarget, duplicate animation assets, and now when I select Stormtrooper import, the position is the same, the pose is the same. So that's very helpful. A simple click of retarget, and we have our Stormtrooper pose. You can see how the walk came out. And there he is walking. I'm just going to hide the bones. And now we have retargeted our third person character walk to our very own Stormtrooper. All you have to do now is duplicate the rest of the character animations and you can create your animation blueprints. Now if you notice, his toes are pointing downwards. That happens sometimes where the positioning is slightly off. So what you do is you hit pause in your Persona animation window, and you go back to frame 0 and you zoom in, you go to character, bones, all hierarchy to show your bones. I'm going to expand this window. And if you notice, not only is the character kind of high off the ground, so I hit W, E is for rotation, R is for scale, and W is for move. I use the Z axis and I bring it down just a little. And if you notice, the toes are looking kind of crazy, kind of pointed downwards. So we're going to fix that by pulling these toes up and pulling the toes out. Same thing with this one. Oh, I'm sorry. When you do that though, once you do it, you must click key and apply it. And this one here, we're going to pull it up and out. And that looks good. And you must make sure you hit key and apply before you activate your motion. So now the bones are in the proper place. Looks like it's still a little high. Make sure you go back to frame 0, select the root bone, and lower it down to the foot. That was the wrong way. Lower it down to the ground just a little. Boom. And now, you got to hit key and apply. Now when you hit play and hide your bones, you have a retargeted animation that you can use for either enemy animation with artificial intelligence to control the states of your enemy character, or your first third-person character can be created with multiple animations, and that would require a whole new tutorial on what is an animation blueprint in the Unreal Engine, which I will gladly make at another time. This concludes today's demonstration of how to create a rig in Blender, export it as an FBX to Unreal, and retarget Unreal's marketplace animation onto your own character. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy your day.